Before it was a movie, Backrooms was a YouTube series created by a teenager going by 𝗞𝗲𝘆𝘄cie starting in 2022. It began as a single found footage video of a man falling into an endless humming maze of yellow rooms. And it grew into 22-episode saga with real lore behind it. At the center of that lore is a fictional organization called the Async Research Institute. Async isn't just exploring the backrooms out of curiosity. In the story, they are trying to open a stable doorway into this infinite space for a specific reason. They want to use it to solve overpopulation and a global storage crisis. That's the actual premise baked into the source material. A limitless, empty dimension treated as the answer to a world running out of room. Of course, the plan goes wrong. The deeper async pushes, the more they find they can't control what's living in that space. And the solution turns into a containment problem instead. The 2026 film picks up a version of the same idea on a smaller, more personal scale. A struggling furniture store owner finds a doorway into the same kind of empty, expanding space beneath his shop, and instead of reporting it, he starts retreating into it. Using infinite empty rooms as an escape from a life and a business he cannot manage. Two different scales, same underlying idea. When a society or a person runs out of room to deal with something, an infinite empty space starts to look less like a threat and more like a convenient answer. That idea isn't just science fiction. It's a pretty accurate description of how storage actually works in the real world. Self-storage facilities exist for exactly this reason. Not because people are out of housing, but because it's easier to rent more space than to sort through what we already own. Data centers do the same thing digitally. It's cheaper and easier to keep every file, photo, and email indefinitely than to decide what's actually worth keeping. Warehousing follows the same logic at an industrial scale, with companies storing surplus goods rather than producing only what's needed. In every case, storage becomes the default answer to a harder question. What do we actually do with all of this? Because storing something is passive, while deciding what to do with it takes effort. And that's exactly why storage and space management is likely to become a bigger issue rather than a smaller one going forward. As physical goods, digital data, and populations all keep growing, the demand for space to hold things, whether that's warehouses, server farms, or storage units, keeps growing right alongside it. At some point, that trajectory runs into hard limits. Land, energy, and money aren't infinite, even if our appetite for accumulating things seems to be. That's likely to push the future in one of two directions. Either storage keeps expanding outward, quietly consuming more land and more power the same way it always has, or it has to get smarter through automation, active data deletion, recycling, and stricter limits on what gets kept versus what gets processed and let go. Either way, the underlying tension the Backrooms accidentally captures isn't going away. A world that keeps building more room to store things will eventually have to answer for why it never learned to decide what those things were for in the first place.